Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Oddities. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Kelly.
And welcome back to Strange Town. We're not well today, either one of us.
Attempting to thrive and survive, but we're here.
Bear with us. Would like to share the usual. Social in the description. We have a merch store. We have a website.
Buy our stuff.
Support our Patreon if you really love us and you're able to. We know times are tough, but do your best, y'all. And that's all. I can't. You know what? To make it easier on you, just leave it all in. Just leave it all in. This is what everybody signed up for. It's fine. How's my bestie?
Thriving and surviving. Just like you.
Just emphasis on just the surviving. Actually, maybe this is an even better platform to describe your issue that you're having because there's more people
More
listening.
Listeners. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's dealt with eye stabbing migraines, like literal migraines in your eyes.
It sounds like a cluster headache almost.
Yeah. Help your favorite.
Help.
Help.
Bottom line, help, please.
I've suffered from migraines for, I don't know, the vast majority of my life, but they've always been on the right side of my head. For the most of this year, I've been on a migraine prevention med, and it's been working. I've only had about 2 migraines a month since starting this med. Yeah,
it's been great.
It's been fantastic. It's been phenomenal. I love it. And all of a sudden this week, I've had, it feels like a migraine in my eyeballs. That's the best way to describe it.
Awful.
I did see my eye doctor this week because she was very fearful that the pressure in my eyeballs were rising. But after she touched my eyeballs, I am fine. The pressure in my eyeballs are not rising. So we don't know what's happening.
Kelly's eyeballs are fine. Nice balls.
The only thing that really gives me relief is sitting there with a heating pad on my face. So, and
life
I can't really
does not
do that.
allow for that.
Yeah, I have 2 small children. If I do that too long, they will get in trouble.
You heard it here first.
So, if you have any recommendations, and this episode comes out in a few weeks, so if I'm still suffering by then, we have bigger problems.
Though, it would still be good to hear recommendations in case it comes back. I mean,
That's
God forbid,
true.
but
that is true. Yeah. But help a girl out.
And Happy New Year.
Oh,
too.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Odd Fam, when this comes out.
Thank you for sticking around with us.
Yeah, we
love
happy
you.
You're here in 2024. I can't believe we are in 2024. That's
because this started at the start of the pandemic, did it not?
This did. Can I say that anything's improved in the state of the world? No.
Ouch. No.
Here we are.
Because here we are.
Here we are, and absolutely not, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm happy you all are here.
Happy to be here.
We are recording this December 16th, so we're at the peak of getting ready for the holidays.
Holidays, 9 days till Christmas.
Holiday.
Ooh.
Wow, I nailed that.
Ooh.
Right?
I know you're sick, but damn, Cass.
Right? That was good. Wow.
Ooh.
Pleasantly surprised. So it's peak wrap all the shit time, put all the shit up time, bake all the shit time.
Do all the shit time.
I have to do at some point a mega grocery run. I got to get all the fish. We got to get our fish ready for the Christmas
that's
Eve.
right. Yeah.
I got to get all that shit. And a few baking supplies. So that's lame. On my side of the equation, I have some sort of mystery illness. It's not COVID. She didn't think it was RSV. But she said, she being the doctor, the teledoc that I saw, said, I don't know what's wrong with you, but looking at you, it warrants an antibiotic and an inhaler. which absolutely cracked me up. I was like, damn. I look and sound that good.
I love and hate that all at the same time. I'm not going to lie.
Me too. I was like, all right, that works for me. Actually, I have to say, and this might be a little hard to believe, but this is a really big improvement. I didn't have a voice like 2 days ago. I had a very, very dry cough. Like,
I will bring this up. There was a few days ago. You guys understand, I'm on the West Coast. Cassie is on the East Coast. There is a time difference, all right? I usually do not hear from Cassie after 6 p.m., all right?
Okay, first of all, 6 p.m. your time. Okay, I was like, first of all, I don't go to bed at 6 p.m.
No, after 6 p.m. my time, all right?
Yeah.
It's 9:40 something my time, and Cassie is texting me. Dude, why are you awake? Go to bed.
I was like, I'm dying.
I'm dying. I'm currently locked in our bathroom with steam. And I was like,
I was steaming. It didn't
felt
help.
Horrible for you.
Thank you. I appreciate the sympathy from afar. I'm going to get there. It'll be fine.
Have you tried a medicine ball from Starbucks? Maybe you need a medicine ball.
No, I've heard they're really gross, but maybe I'll get one.
They're really gross, but maybe you need it.
Maybe. I have some other things going on in my world that I can't really speak about, but they're all very good things. But they are very causing good things,
but they're causing you great stress.
Great stress. And I think, honestly, this is all the result of that. But it's very good things. So I am hoping, in the new year I can share more about that good news. But that's that be what we do be having. I am making my way through all of our Christmas movies.
I've been watching a lot of Christmas movies myself.
But the ones that we discussed that I'm not a fan of, I've been swapping out with shitty Hallmark ones that I'm not a fan of those really either. So, there's no winning. But, I think this season, my favorite, because I usually have the same, but this year the one that really hit me is Klaus on Netflix. I just so love that movie.
That's such a good movie,
isn't it? And it's
it's
like beautifully done, and it's just a good movie. So that one gave me the warm and fuzzies like extra this year.
You know what I saw yesterday on TikTok?
What's that?
I don't know. First off, I don't know if you've seen the Fudge List drama on TikTok.
No, what the fuck is that?
There's this wonderful creator on TikTok. Her name is Sydney, and her mom apparently has this Fudge List, and I am fully committed to the Fudge List drama. I'm not gonna lie, but anyways, so her whole, all of her content has consumed my page. Anyways, I'll send you some. Anyways,
okay.
She's like, I'm going to pause the Fudge List drama and build some Legos. And she was building the Home Alone Legos.
Oh,
the
you loved
Home
it.
Alone house, right? And so while building the Home Alone house, she was watching Home Alone. Did you know there's 6 of them?
What?
Because
I thought there were 2.
Because at the end, she's like, total movies watched. And then Home Alone, there was, at the end, it was Home Alone 6. What? I knew that there was 4 because the third and the fourth are 2 recasted Home Alones, right? We don't watch those. I literally thought there was 2. We don't watch those. We only watch the 1 and the 2. Just saying. What? I'm very confused. And I'm not going to watch the recasted ones. It's not going to happen. I'm just very confused.
What is the Fudge List? Is it a literal list of fudge?
She's had this list for 50 years, and she has 50 people on this list. She makes, apparently, this outstanding fudge, right? Okay. And everyone wants to be on the Fudge List because it's phenomenal, apparently. And not only do you get fudge, but she makes these handmade vessels to go put the fudge in.
What
every
are the
year?
Vessels?
Well,
what are they?
This year they were these cute little cardboard gingerbread houses.
What the hell?
They were adorable.
I love this.
They were adorable. Last year, I think they were these giant martini glasses that she hand painted.
Wow, love that too.
Like
Wow.
she is a Christmas woman. She is adorable. I have to say
Wow,
that. I have
do
nothing
love
bad to
that.
say about this Christmas fudge queen at
No.
all.
How could you? How could anybody? So what's the drama? Are people just want to get on the list?
Like, well, if you do bad things, you get kicked off the fudge list, and you don't get back on the fudge list.
Well, I mean, all's fair. Like, I get that. Listen, I gotta be honest with you. I don't like 50 people to put on a fudge list.
But she's had this for 50 years. Like, it started when she was, like, a young kid. She wanted to give up fudge. And, like, it didn't start out with 50 people back then, obviously. But, you know, the fudge list grew and grew and grew and grew. Yeah. And, like, she has this specific butter she puts in the fudge. Like, that was shared. We don't know what else goes in the fudge, obviously. But
love and good wishes, obviously.
But, yeah, like, and so, like, her daughter just started talking about her fudge, right? And people just, it went viral.
People just clung to that. You know, yeah. It is so hard to say what's ever going to go viral. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And she did have a following beforehand. I'm going to throw that out there. But this particular story of the fudge went crazy. And then, like, it became a series very quickly.
Okay.
And so, yeah, no, the fudge list became a thing, and like everyone wanted to know about the fudge list and more about the fudge list and the backstory of the fudge list and what do you do to get on the fudge list and what do you do to get off the fudge list. And
well, damn. Yeah. All right, I got to get in on this shit.
I will send you fudge list shit.
Please do. But I mean, I got to be honest. Look, if you're going to act an asshole, then how are you going to be surprised if you get kicked off the fudge list? Like, hello, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I'm going to tell you one of the fudge list drama stories because this was just funny to me. Like, genuinely funny to me. Apparently, one of the people that were kicked off the fudge list, like, I don't know how you thought you would even get fudge after this.
Okay.
Like, genuinely, like, you're an idiot.
Like, they fucked up? Okay, all right.
So, this guy, apparently he was on the fudge list.
That did it. Yep. That did it right there.
Being a dude.
Yep. That's right.
Was on the fudge list. Was a former boss or coworker or something of their father. Couldn't get into, like, full details, obviously. Apparently sued her father. Didn't win.
And they could... Whoa. He sued the guy and then expected to still get fudge?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Yeah. Did not get fudge that year for obvious reasons, but, like, also you didn't win the lawsuit, so on you.
Yeah, so it sucks to suck, bitch. Yeah.
But then she ran into him the next year like, at the grocery store or something like that. He apparently, like, kind of harassed her or, like, threw a tantrum or something in the grocery store. Am I getting fudge? I'm getting fudge this year, right? I'm getting fudge this year, right? I'm getting fudge this year. She, like, kind of felt attacked. And gave him pity fudge, which pity fudge, by the way, is a small cellophane bag of, like, just a taste of the fudge, but enough to know that you're never getting on the list again.
I'll tell you what my fucking pity fudge would be after that fucking shit. It would be me shitting in a bag and handing it to him, fucking asshole. You're gonna act like that and then fucking be like, I want the fudge. Fuck you. I am up in arms about this. I don't even know any of this, and I'm fucking pissed. I hate that man.
I was very angered when I heard that story because I was like, how dare you? Because this woman seems like an angel from above. And you're going to cause a scene in a grocery store after doing that to their family?
Yeah, like, what kind of what drugs is this man on? Like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. And you like flames on the side of my face. I hate this man.
Yep.
So not only is he off the fudge list, he's on my fuck you list.
Yep. I'm going to send you this specific story now.
I should be like the Krampus to this woman.
Oh, and do you know what she does for a living?
What does she do? Does she make fudge for a living? Because, like, this takes a lot of time.
She makes... Do you know those, like, little seashell ornaments that you see in, like, souvenir shops?
Yeah.
At like tourists, she makes those. She hand makes those for a
what
living.
A life.
She is literally Mother Christmas.
She's so like, what a calm life, except for this man like accosting her in the fucking grocery store.
Yeah.
Listen, the Christmas Lord giveth, and the Christmas Lord taketh away. If you're gonna fucking be a dickhead, you're getting off the fudge list. He's lucky he even got pity fudge. Yeah. I mean, I do like the concept of just a taste, and sorry, bitch, you don't get more than this.
I love the concept of pity fudge, I'm not gonna lie.
I also love the concept of my pity fudge, which is a bag of human shit.
You know, it's funny, and I make fudge every year, and I just feel like I'm gonna be making fudge this year, and I'm just gonna be like, it's not as good. And the funny thing is, I don't even know what this woman's fudge tastes like.
I bet you your fudge is just as... I mean, I've never had your fudge, but I bet you it's just as good.
I guarantee you, like, I'm just going to be eating it going, oh, this fudge is not as good as this woman's fudge.
It's just not...
Oh my God, we're 16 minutes in.
Sorry, this was... nothing like
I went on a fudge rant.
Nothing like starting the new year with just endless intolerable banter from two prattling cows.
Moo moo.
That's what we do. Well, I loved hearing about the fudge list. Thank you for educating me. Send everything my way.
I will send you the whole thing. I'm so mad that you haven't seen. Oh my gosh. I have to.
Usually our pages are like synced, so like I don't even.
I have to send you all the fudge list drama.
Yeah, I'm fucking pissed. This guy's gonna get fucking.
This is gonna make your whole weekend better.
Yeah. While I'm in recovery mode for whatever this is, I'm going to be learning about the fudge list. And I'm not going to admit what the hell I could potentially do to this man. I hate him. and the law is a funny thing, so that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
So, wow. So now that we've wasted everybody's time.
With fudge list.
It wasn't a waste. It wasn't a waste. This was education.
No, this was good education.
This was good fucking education. Should we get this party started here in the new year?
Yeah.
All right. Mine is not sad, really. It's just kind of spookalabookala and strange and scary. What's yours?
Mine, I would say, is interesting, sad, weird.
Okay. Since yours has a hint
little
of sadness.
true crime-ish. Maybe.
Oh, a crime. Well, since yours has a little sadness, do you want to start with yours and I'll close with mine?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
So, I'm going to be talking about the Sodder children disappearance. Possible disappearance.
Possible, just okay.
It's a little interesting.
Do you like the jury's out? We just don't know.
Well, it's a cold case.
Oh, yes. Oh, shit.
Sorry,
I thrive
guys.
on cold cases.
So,
it's fine.
On Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1945, a fire destroyed the Sodder residence in Fayetteville, West Virginia.
Oh, my. Oh.
At the time, it was occupied by George Sodder, his wife Jenny, and 9 of their 10 children. During the fire...
Oh, Jesus Christ. 10 kids?
Yeah, well, that time too. At the time, it was occupied... during the fire, George, Jenny, and 4 of their 9 children escaped. The bodies of the 5 children were never found, though.
Well, what? Wait, where's the one child that was...
the oldest child wasn't living there at the time.
Oh, okay, all right.
He was 21 and moved... I think it was actually... I'll get to that, but he was serving in the military.
Okay, he was like sayonara fools. Okay.
So... little background. George Sodder was born with the name Giorgio Sadu in Italy in 1895.
Oh! Okay. We're doing the hands.
Yep. In 1895, that's the year he was born, he immigrated to the United States 13 years later with an older brother who went back home as soon as both boys had cleared customs at Ellis Island.
So, okay.
This isn't for me. I'm going back.
Bye, kids. Listen, Ellis Island was like a horror show, so I mean.
For the rest of his life, George, as he became to be known as, would talk much about why he had left his homeland. But Sodder eventually found work on the railroads in Pennsylvania, carrying out water and other supplies to workers. After a few years, he took more permanent work as a driver in Smithers, West Virginia, and he started his own trucking company, initially hauling and filling dirt to construction sites, later hauling coal mine region. Jenny, a storekeeper's daughter in the Smithers, who also immigrated from Italy in her childhood, became George's wife. So both immigrated, both Italian, ended up married and had a litter of children. Yes, I chose that word.
A litter, yes.
The Sodders settled outside of Fayetteville, which had a large population of Italian immigrants, in a two-story.
I never knew.
Framed. Really?
That West Virginia, that they were just chilling in West Virginia. It's always New York, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I have to agree. I didn't realize it was West Virginia or just outside Fayetteville specifically.
Yeah, never would have guessed. I mean, I guess I could see it because there are a lot of Italian areas in Pennsylvania, and we're kind of like neighbors.
Yeah.
Although Pennsylvania is a big ass state, but yeah. Anyway,
I wonder if there's still a big Italian presence there.
Maybe so. I have no idea.
We'll have to take a visit someday. Anyways.
All right.
In a two-story timber frame house, 2 miles north of town, in 1923, they had their first of their 10 children. George businesses prospered, and they became one of the most respected middle-class families around. In the words of the local,
what a story,
right? It's really amazing.
Snaps. Yes.
George had strong opinions, though, and he was not shy to share them.
Oh, well, Italian.
And that did not sit well with some of the other immigrants. One of them being he really did not like Mussolini. And some of the other immigrants didn't like that he didn't like Mussolini.
I mean, I'm with him.
Right?
I get it.
And it led to some strong arguments with other members in the community.
Oh, boy.
The last of the Sodder children, Sylvia, was born in 1942. By then, their second oldest son, Joe, 21, had left home to serve in the military during World War II.
Okay.
The following year, Mussolini was executed. However, George's criticism of the late dictator had left some hard feelings. In October of 1945, a visiting life insurance salesman, after being rebuffed, warned George that his house would go up in smoke and their young children were going to be destroyed, attributing all of this to the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini.
Okay, well, obviously this asshole did it.
Another visitor to the house, seeking work, took to the occasion around back, warned George of a pair of fuse boxes that would cause a fire someday. George was puzzled by this observation, since he had just had the house rewired when an electric stove was installed, and the electric company had told George afterwards that everything was safe.
Okay.
Everything was up to code. Everything was good, in the weeks before Christmas that year. George's older sons had also noticed a strange car parked along the main highway through town, its occupants watching their younger Sodder children as they returned home from school.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah. So, Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sodder family had celebrated Christmas Eve. Marin, 19, the oldest daughter, had been working at a dime store in downtown Fayetteville. And she's surprised.
Store.
Right.
If only. Okay.
Right. She'd surprised 3 of her younger sisters, Martha, 12, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5, with new toys she had bought for them as gifts. The younger children were so excited they had asked their mother if they could stay up past what would have been their usual bedtime. At 10 p.m., Jenny told them they could stay up a little later as long as the 2 oldest boys who were still awake, 14-year-old Morris and his 9-year-old brother Lewis, remembered to put the cows in and feed the chickens before going to bed themselves. George and the 2 oldest boys, John, 22, and George Jr., 16, who had spent the day working with their father, who were already asleep. After reminding the children of those chores, she took Sylvia, 2, upstairs with her, and they went to bed together. The telephone rang at 12:30 a.m. Jenny woke up and went downstairs to answer it. The caller was a woman whose voice she did not recognize, asking her name, and was not familiar with it. The sound of laughter and clicking glasses in the background. Jenny told the caller she had reached the wrong number. Later, recalling the woman's weird laugh, she hung up and returned to bed.
Ew. Okay.
Yep. As she did, she noticed the lights were still on and the curtains were not drawn. 2 things the children normally attended to when they stayed up later than their parents.
Okay.
So, little things like that. Marin had fallen asleep in the living room on the living room couch, so Jenny assumed that the other children who stayed up later had gone back up to the attic where they slept. She closed the curtains and turned out the lights and returned to bed. At 1 a.m., Jenny was woken up again to the sound of an object hitting the house's roof with a loud bang and the rolling noise. After hearing nothing further, she went back to sleep. After another half hour, she woke up again smelling smoke. Was it
Molotov? Carry on.
When she got up again, she found that the room George used to use for his office was on fire around the telephone line and the fuse box. Jenny woke him up, and he turned to woke up his other sons. Both parents and the 4 children, Marin, Sylvia, John, and George Jr., escaped the house. They frantically yelled to the other children upstairs, but heard no response. They could not go up there as the stairway itself was already aflame. John said his first police interview, the fire, that he went up to the attic to alert a sibling sleeping there, though he later changed his story, saying that he only called up there and didn't actually see them.
Oh, okay.
Efforts to find aid and rescue the children were unexpectedly complicated. The phone did not work, so Marin ran up to the neighbors to call the Fayetteville Fire Department. A driver nearby the road had also seen the flames and called by from a near tavern. They too were unsuccessful, either because they could not reach the operator or because the phone did not work. That was fuzzy.
Okay.
Either the neighbor or a passing motorist was eventually successful in reaching the fire department from another phone in the center of town. George, barefoot, attempted to climb the house's outside wall and broke an open window, cutting his arm in the process. He and his sons intended to use a ladder to the attic to rescue the other children, but it wasn't in its usual spot.
Oh, okay.
And it was later found down the road in the ravine.
Oh, okay.
George then tried to pull up both of his trucks that he used for his business up to the house to try to stand on top of it to try to reach his children. But for some reason, they were not working and couldn't move them, God. Even though they were working just the day prior.
This guy tried so hard.
Frustrated, the 6 Sodders who had escaped had no choice but to watch the house burn down and collapse over the next 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
They assumed the other 5 children had perished in the blaze. The fire department, low on manpower due to the war and relying on individual firefighters to call each other, did not respond until later that morning.
What the hell? Okay. Well, I mean, okay, never mind.
The firefighters, one of whom was a brother of Jenny's, could do little but look through the ashes that were left in the Sodder's basement by 10 a.m. Morris told the Sodders that they had not found any bones, as might have been expected of the other children, as it burned. According to another account, they did find a few bone fragments and internal organs, but chose not to tell the family. It also has been noted to modern fire professionals that in their search, it was a curiosity at best. Nevertheless, Morris believed that the 5 children unaccounted for had died in the fire, suggesting it had been hot enough to burn their bodies completely.
Okay.
Morris told George to leave the site undisturbed so that the fire marshals could conduct a more thorough investigation. However, after 4 days, George and his wife could not bear the site anymore. So he bulldozed 5 feet of dirt over the site, and with the intention of converting it into a memorial garden for the lost children. The local coroner convened an inquest the next day, which held that the fire was an incident caused by faulty wiring. Among the jurors was the man that threatened George that his house would be burned down with his children destroyed.
What a fucking garbage human being.
Yep. Death certificates for the 5 children were issued December 30th. The local newspaper contradicted itself, stating that all the bodies had been found, but then later in the same story reporting that only part of one body was recovered. George and Jenny were too grief-stricken to attend the funeral on January 2nd, 1946, although their surviving children did. The families eventually questioned about the final account. So, not long afterward, as they began to rebuild their lives, the Sodder family started to question about all the official findings. They wondered if it had been caused by electrical problems, the family's Christmas lights, why the Christmas lights had remained on throughout the fire's early stages, when the power should have gone out. And then they found the ladder that had been missing. Why?
Yeah. Why is it in a ravine?
Yeah,
right.
A telephone repairman told the Sodders that the house phone line had not been burned through the fire, in the fire as they initially thought, but it had been somebody had cut it. Someone who had been willing to climb 14 feet up the pole and then reach 2 feet and cut it. A man whom the neighbors had seen stealing a block and tackle from the property of the fire initially had been identified and arrested, and he admitted to the theft and claimed that he had been the one to cut the phone line, thinking it was a power line. But denied having anything to do with the fire. So, don't know if he really had anything to do with the fire or possible kidnapping. Jenny also had trouble accepting the Morrises' belief that all traces of the children's body had been burned completely in the fire. Many of the household appliances had been found still recognizable in the ash, along with fragments of tin in the roof. She contrasted the results of the fire with a newspaper account of the similar house fire she had read with the same time that killed a family of 7. Skeletal remains of all the victims were reported to have been found in that case. Jenny burned small piles of animal bodies to see if it could be completely consumed.
Jesus Christ, but okay. You love a scientific mind. It's fine.
Yep. None were. An employee
Consumed?
of the none were ever. An employee of a local crematorium she contacted told her the human bones would even remain after the bodies were burned at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours, far hotter than a house fire could ever been.
That's right. So, yeah, I was going to say from my experience and what I've learned is that it's very, very rare that you won't find skeletal remains. It has to be extremely hot for those to, disintegrate, essentially.
Exactly. So, they essentially became so consumed with this. They could not let it go. Obviously, they wanted answers. They needed answers, and I don't blame them for that. George once saw a photo of a ballerina at a ballet school in New York and believed it was one of his daughters. Went to that school in New York, demanded to see, and after many, many accounts of demanding, they still refused.
Oh God.
He
Okay.
eventually took out a huge billboard.
Uh-huh.
What was their fate? Kidnapped, murdered, or are they still alive? $5,000 reward, and all the photos of his children.
Oh.
That billboard remained up until 1989 when Jenny died.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The children, after she died, the remaining children said it was time.
Yeah.
Although they all still believed that their siblings were still alive.
Yeah.
Sylvia Sodder, the youngest of the surviving Sodder siblings, died just 3 years ago in
Oh my God.
in 2021. I'm saying 3 years ago because when this comes out, it'll be 2024.
3 years. Right. Right.
She was in the house the night of the fire, and she was only 2, but she remembers this being her first memory.
Oh my God. What a first memory.
She often remembers speaking to her dad about this and what would have been if they all got out, or if they weren't taken, or, you know, what would have happened. The FBI did get involved with this, and they did send a investigator down to the property because they never rebuilt down at that property, and they did exhume some soil, and they did find a vertebrae. And
okay.
It looks like it could have been from any one of the children.
That's strange to me. Okay, well.
So, but only one vertebrae, so it doesn't make sense what happened to then the other children.
Yeah, like
it's still not accounting for the rest.
Huh.
So it's just a nothing came from this case.
I'm so sad that they could never get closure. Also, this is so ridiculous. I mean, what a ridiculous reason for somebody to do all of this to someone else.
When he did post this billboard, it did get attention. He received letters. Yeah. He received information. Like, a waitress said that she served children the morning after that fire, and it could have been your children, is how she put it. And they got into a car with Florida plates, and they received letters from Texas that I am your child, but then it would all be dead ends. It was like never. So, like, it could have just been people that were crazy, screwing around.
Yeah, it's not cool. What do you think is the case?
Part of me thinks that guy did have something to do with the fire.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And I hate that he was on the jury, because it was like he did something to persuade the jury.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
For sure.
And then on top of it, I feel like, he did, like, kidnap the kids, and maybe he only got a few of the kids, and then some did perish in the fire.
Yeah, I think it's
just it gave me the ick, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, that guy's definitely sketch-a-ledge. I think he absolutely had something to do with it. The thing that I can't wrap my head around is two things. One, I don't think all the kids died in the fire, because there would have been more skeletal remains.
There would be more evidence. And there is just no way that the fire got hot enough for them to completely perish like that. Absolutely no way.
Not in my experience, based on the limited studies that I have in that matter.
And one of the fire people, Marshall or somebody, in efforts to get George to like just have closure and like leave it alone, took a beef liver, put it in a box and buried it on the site, and then said later, I found one of their hearts. I put it in a box and buried it for you.
Well, okay.
When this was finally then brought up, they made him exhume it. And they were like, this isn't a heart, it's a beef liver.
Oh my God.
And it's fresh.
The thing that, fucking people, the thing that, the logistics of this that I'm a little curious about is like, okay. Because like, automatically, I subscribe to the idea like, okay, maybe they got some of the kids, they kidnapped them. But how would they not have heard screaming or...
Yeah. Banging
those
or...
Those kids would have... And like, they were old enough to put up a struggle, right? So like, I don't know how they would have managed that. Unless they like chloroformed them or something.
Yeah.
Curious what the thump on the roof and the rolling is, but I'm going to go with like a Molotov because that could have...
They were little green rubber balls.
What?
Yes. So, this happened during the winter. In the spring, once the snow had melted, Jenny found yellow or green balls. A neighbor had reported seeing fireballs being thrown. Interesting.
Okay. All right. So
later, hearing thumping on the roof.
Yeah, and some rolling.
And rolling. Yeah. It was like these rubber balls that could have been on fire.
Yeah, so I'm stumped as to what happens to these kids. On paper, I would say, okay, yes, this guy did it. I think he had other people that he looped in working with him. But there should be more skeletal remains if all the kids that were left like died in the fire. But how would they have managed to get them away without causing some kind of a commotion? So I'm stumped on this one.
Yeah.
I want to believe that if they stole the kids, they'd let them live. I don't think so. I think if they kidnapped, they probably just killed them.
Yeah.
Looking at the garbage that we're dealing with, obviously they're capable of that. So
I mean, trafficking has been around for centuries,
forever. The other thing is like if they stole the kids and had intended on just like kidnapping or whatever, they probably would have held some kind of a ransom. Yeah, I feel like, so knowing that this family was rather well off, it sounds like, based on all that they had built up for themselves. So I don't know. I'm stumped. That's a good one. I've never heard of that case. Interesting stuff, bestie.
Thank you.
Sad. And I'm frustrated for that family that they never got closure. But how bizarre. Mine.
Give me some spooky.
I couldn't be in a farther realm from what you just covered.
Give me some spooky.
This is from Cousin Caitlin. Thank you, Cousin Caitlin. I'm covering the moving coffins of the Chase Vault.
Ooh.
Spookalabookala, right? So, the Chase Vault, it's a burial vault in the cemetery of the Christchurch Parish Church in Oistins, Christchurch, Barbados.
Oh, it's known Christchurch, New Zealand?
Not quite. Barbados. And it is best known because of this legend of these mysterious moving coffins. So the first published version of this story actually appeared in 1833. So this goes back. Yeah, so let's talk about this. For the people of, there are unsolved mysteries throughout time, right? But for the people of Barbados, there are a few tales quite as enduring as that of the Chase family vault. So it is located in, the Sunny Island Range. This family vault has brought with it a number of strange events and nightmarish tales, all without seeming to come to any sort of closure. And buried beneath one of that country's most treasured historical sites, which is the Christchurch Parish Cemetery, the family vault lies in wait, bringing with it a lot of strange activities. So, the Chase family have a long and winding history with Barbados. They initially bought their family vault back in the 1800s, It's located on a hill overlooking the rest of the Caribbean. Sounds beautiful, frankly.
Yeah.
The vault was specifically chosen because of its picturesque views and calming surroundings, and they felt it was the perfect memorial site for the family one day, right? So, despite being battered by the salt and wind from island storms, the vault was very, very sturdy and strong, and it protected the family members buried inside behind a huge blue marble slab. The Chase family basically had everything that they might have wanted in life, but they were not popular with the local community. They were incredibly wealthy, and they used their riches to manipulate people around them. They treated staff and slaves with unprecedented brutality. When the family came to buy their vault, they purchased it from another owner, actually, believing it would suit their family better than that owner's family. So these people are garbage. Yes, right. By the time the first family member, James Elliot Chase, came to be buried in the vault, they already knew that there was another woman from a different family lying in rest within, which is very strange. But despite this, the family went ahead with the burial, and not long after his death, they sealed James Elliot Chase in a large stone tomb. He wasn't alone, aside from that one woman, for long, however, because just a few months after his death, he was joined by the body of a newborn baby who died suddenly. Yeah, suddenly after birth. Not long after this, another family member, Dorcas, commits suicide and was buried alongside her family members in the resting place. All three of them had been placed in heavy iron coffins, which, due to their size, required a number of strong men in order to be put in its place. Did you have a question?
Well, so I know that babies in that time frame were often placed with people.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was believed that babies were stuck in purgatory. So, like, that's not that weird. That sounds horrible to say.
Yeah.
And I would
but they
sorry. Go ahead.
All three got their own heavy iron coffins, though.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought they were all shoved into
one.
Is
wild.
Okay.
No. Things were only destined to basically get worse for the Chase family. Following the sudden suicide of Dorcas, her father had followed the same fate. He was evidently deeply unhappy with his way of life, and then he was buried in a huge iron casket. Then Thomas Chase was put to rest alongside his other family members, sealed in the vault until another death caused it to be reopened. So following this string of deaths in the family, things started to get weird. When maintenance laborers would enter the family vault, having moved the huge marble slab in order to get in, they found that Dorcas Chase's coffin had been moved, turned upside down, and balanced against the wall. Despite this, the coffin hadn't been opened. Alongside the casket of the youngest family member, it had also simply just been repositioned in the vault, an act that would have required a number of strong individuals to carry off, though, because it was this heavy iron thing.
Yeah.
The remaining family members, however, were not concerned by the activity. They said it's vandals. So the coffins were shifted. They're like, it's vandals. It's vandals,
it's fine.
The coffins were shifted back to their original spots. The vault was resealed in order to ensure such activity didn't happen again. The next family member dies some years later, right? And the Chase family stumbles right back into basically the same story, coming to realize that something very odd was going on. So the coffins, at this point again, years later, had once again been rearranged. Each coffin had been haphazardly flung around inside, no evidence that any of them had been broken into. The second discovery soon spread throughout this town, piquing the interest of a number of townspeople. And so people started to speculate what was going on, and they attributed the actions to black magic, voodoo, or a family curse. Oh. They're like, hey, this is what it's got to be. They're like, all right. Over the years, more people died, whatever. The vault continuously was found in different disarray each time it was reopened, leading to a wide-scale investigation by one of the family members. Each of the tombs was discovered displaced except that of one family member who had been put to rest in a lighter wooden coffin. So, in a last-ditch attempt to stop the break-ins, a family member had the vault set with mortar, covered with cement, and finished off with fine sand so as to be able to detect footprints. 8 months later, he opens up the tomb and finds it just as he had left it, unharmed. And since this time, there has been no more disruption to the family tomb. But the legend still lives on in Barbados, and the story is passed around like, family homes or campfires or some shit. Nonetheless, intriguing locals as to what could have happened down in the vault all those years ago. So according to author Jerome Clark, the story of the Chase Vault appears to originate from anecdotes told by Thomas H. Orderson, who was a rector of Christ Church during the 1800s. Orderson gave conflicting accounts of the tale, each containing different variations. And Clark says the story was subsequently repeated in Alexander's 1833 Transatlantic Sketches, and further repeated the same year in the Anecdote Gallery section of Reuben Percy's The Mirror of Literature, Amusement, and Instruction. Clark says that most of the stories that proliferated about the Chase Vault referred back to sources that could be traced to one of Orderson's accounts, and that Scottish folklorist Andrew Lang identified the differing versions told by Orderson in a December 1907 article published in Folklore Journal. After combing through existing documentation to determine the veracity of the Chase Vault stories, Lang reports that he could find nothing to substantiate them, either in the Burial Register of Christ Church or in the contemporary newspapers of Barbados, aside from an unpublished first-hand account by Nathan Lucas, who claimed to be present at the opening of the vault in April of 1820. The governor ordered the bodies to be reinterred in separate burial spots, with the vault now sealed and emptied. So the story of the moving coffins actually attracted quite a bit of attention within Victorian society. Arthur Conan Doyle actually commented about the case, speculating that animal magnetism might be involved, which has to do, it falls within the realm of, I believe, spiritualism and all that stuff. Skeptical investigator Joe Nickel and folklorist Benjamin Radford both point out significant details of the story that vary from one source to another, and that the missing account from Nathan Lucas was actually attributed to him by another unidentified source, leaving us basically with no direct testimony from anybody claiming to be an eyewitness to this shit. So contemporary sources from the island don't mention the incident throws doubt basically on the basic elements of the story. Examining the interior of the vault in 2011, the folklorist Radford observed that the bricks were intact. They showed no damage from lead-lined moving coffins, because that dragging and stuff would leave, trace. So Nichols says, the skeptical investigator, he says that stories about the Chase Vault were often repeated, but he called them historically dubious. He had investigated an earlier alleged Masonic hoax involving a tale of buried treasure at Oak Island. He contended that whoever fashioned the Barbados story was familiar with the Masonic allegory of a secret vault, which, according to a Masonic text, was in the ancient mysteries, symbolic of death, where alone divine truth can be found. So he writes that 2 of the men named in the Chase Vault story were actually members of an ancient free and accepted Mason society, and that a similar tale of restless coffins was circulated in 1943 that specifically included a party of Freemasons and a vault containing the founder of Freemasonry in Barbados. This guy notes that Chase Vault stories were basically loaded with symbols and phrases which Freemasons would have recognized. The folklorist places the Chase Vault story within a small body of legends about moving coffins. And these stories exist around the world, including several examples from Barbados, but some that predate this Chase Vault case. And he labels it basically as a version of a broader moving coffin legend that happens to have been imbued with Freemason allegory, and that there's no evidence that anyone, Freemason or otherwise, intentionally created or hoaxed the story, and instead they did what all humans do when they hear a good story. They retell this true story and change it in the process a little bit, emphasizing and adding elements according to their beliefs and maybe the agendas that they had with telling the story.
Yeah.
So there have also been various researchers that have suggested more natural explanations. So, of course, this has to do with science. So, of course, I'm covering it.
Of course.
Of course. This first, more natural explanation is earthquakes. This has been, unfortunately, nearly universally rejected, as Barbados is not very seismically active, and there were no special earthquakes recorded there during this kind of period of time. The other natural explanation that has been repeatedly suggested is water. So if water got into the vault, it would have floated the coffins into virtually any position. Now, this raises a number of questions. Are coffins buoyant? Could water have gotten into the vault and drained out unnoticed? Where would the water have come from? So we can estimate the buoyancy of the lead-lined coffins. They would have floated only if their weight was less than the equivalent volume of water. We don't have dimensions of any of the coffins, but we can guess, right? So coffin is 6-sided, like the kind that Dracula would sit up from, as opposed to a casket, which is like rectangular. Coffins are more compact, thus with less volume, thus are less likely to float than a casket would be. If we look at the dimensions of all kinds of coffins, because there's not really like a standard size, I guess, associated with this or whatever, the volumes calculated ranged from 400 to 900 liters in volume. That means they displace 400 to 900 kilograms of water. Some of today's mortuary guidelines suggest that the average casket weighs about 150 kilograms, about 25 kilograms for each of 6 pallbearers. Thomas's coffin is said to have required 8 men to move. So if we assume that they were straining twice as hard as the average pallbearer, they were lifting only 400 kilograms. So although these numbers are all best guess estimates, Thomas's coffin was at least neutrally buoyant and more than likely could have floated like a cork. Now, the Chase Vault is located at an elevation of like 33 meters on Pleistocene coral reef limestone, which is extremely porous, and it has a fast percolation rate. This means that if the vault were to become inundated with water somehow, it would easily drain out through the ground. Sir Schomburgk, a surveyor and geographer by trade, noted this characteristic in his 1848 book about this vault. And Barbados gets a lot of rain. It rains half the days of the year. It averages around 100 millimeters per month. Now, there aren't, at least that I could find, any studies looking into like the question of whether the Chase Vault happens to collect much rainwater. But it could be a possibility based on these factors. There's more than enough water available for this to happen. There's more than enough drainage given on what it's built upon. And capacity exists in the vault. And there's enough possible buoyancy within the coffins. So that could be the case too. And it would explain the lack of drag marks. And it would explain why they're in different positions every time.
I'm going to go with that.
I vote that too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would go for. But anyway, that's the moving coffins of the Chase Vault. And that was a very fun one to research. So thank you, Cousin Caitlin.
That one's cool.
That's what I
really like that.
It's a fun one, right? What I thought was interesting is that there's kind of cases and stories of something similar to this all throughout the world of different moving coffins and whatnot. And of course, everybody's, ooh, but I think it's water.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course there's like cases of grave robbers and whatnot because people get buried and things and whatnot. But in this case, I definitely think water is a big play in it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this
especially
family...
the location.
Especially the location and the, natural factors around it. This family clearly took, I would say, to some lengths to try and avoid any kind of grave robbing. I mean, these weren't just like buried out in the open. They were in a sealed thing. They were in iron-lined like caskets.
Yeah.
Far too heavy for like your average group of grave robbers, which usually were just like a couple of dudes.
Yeah.
So I think I think we've got ourselves some science. I think we have water. That's my explanation.
Agreed.
Also, I mean, the accounts around this are fuzzy at best, too. So whether or not they actually ever moved at all, is a question mark, too. But if they did, I think it's natural causes.
Natural.
So there you have it. That's the Chase Vault moving coffins.
That was very interesting. Thank you for covering it. Thank you, Cousin Caitlin, for suggesting it.
Thank you, Cousin Caitlin. This was a fun one. This was a great episode to start 2024.
Yeah.
I love this for us.
Boom. Love it.
Yeah, this is a longer one. We're going to...
We had to start off with a bang, I guess.
I think so. We're going to go each die now because we're very unwell. And... That's
what we do best.
That's what we do. And until next time...
Stay strange.